All right. Good afternoon. The Secretary General this morning spoke at the annual memorial service in honor of UN personnel who have fallen in the line of duty. He said that 77 women and men who lost their lives last year were our colleagues and our friends. He said their service embodied the principles and promises of the United Nations, the principle of our common humanity and the promise to act on it, to work together, to solve shared challenges and build the world of peace, prosperity, and human rights for all. In divided, dangerous world, the Secretary General said the vision and values that our blue flag represents are more important now than ever. He added that we resolve to continue our essential mission. Turning to Syria, earlier today, the UN led two monitoring and assessment missions from Turkey into northwest Syria. Staff from the UN Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Syrian Cross-Border Humanitarian Fund conducted a routine monitoring mission through the Al-Ray crossing. The World Health Organization, for its part, entered via the Bab al-Salam to conduct a routine assessment. Additional staff, missions, and truck movements are planned through Bab al-Salam and Al-Ray crossings in the coming days, and we'll keep you updated. A quick update from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where the head of the peacekeeping mission there, Ms. Bintou Keita, is visiting the country's east for consultations on the transition process. The visit comes as options are being prepared for the reconfiguration of the peacekeeping mission presence in the country as requested by the Security Council. Ms. Keita held discussions with provincial authorities, civil society, the UN country team, and other partners. In her discussions, she highlighted the importance of balancing the need to accelerate the mission's transition process as requested by the host country, while ensuring that minimum conditions for security and protection of civilians are met before the peacekeepers' withdrawal. She underlined the need to strengthen cooperation and ensure a common understanding of the realities faced by all partners in the collective work we need, especially the provincial level, to overcome those challenges and ensure a gradual response and to ensure a gradual and responsible exit and transfer of tasks to national authorities. And our colleagues at the Refugee Agency said today that Rohingya refugees in Cox's Bazar are facing hunger after the latest ration cuts. This is the second cut to their food rations in 3 months. Faced with funding shortfalls that we talk about almost every day here, the World Food Program has had to make difficult choices to sustain food assistance until the end of the year. In March, the value of food vouchers for camp residents was reduced from $12 per person per month to $10, and in June to $8. That's 27 cents per day. The cuts came just weeks after thousands of refugees lost their temporary homes because of Cyclone Mocha and a major fire, as you'll recall, in Cox's Bazar earlier in the year. UNHCR said that more and more humanitarian agencies are being forced to continue only with the most critical interventions. That means basic needs are being unmet. That's it. Go ahead,
Hi,
please.
Steph. I have a question. So I have a question on the grain deal. The Ukraine's ambassador to Turkey said in an interview that Ukraine is considering the possibility of a grain corridor through the territorial waters of Romania and Bulgaria. Naturally, with Russia withdrawing from the original grain agreement, there are still risks that Russia will fire on ships, according to the Ukrainian ambassador. My question is this something the Secretary General of the UN is in discussions with the Ukrainians or with anyone else?
As I mentioned earlier, there are a number of ideas being floated about. What I can tell you, I mean, this is operating in a war zone. No one can ask the Secretary General to provide security guarantees. But that being said, discussions are. We are all seeing the same press reports.
Thank you.
Deji.
I believe you have already seen the statement from Foreign Ministry of Russian Federation on the statement of the Secretary General on Monday. The Foreign Ministry of Russia said that the Secretary General is, I quote, twisting the facts about the implementation of the Istanbul agreements and violation of all the laws of diplomatic correspondence by making public his personal letters to President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. And in the end, the Russian Foreign Ministry also said the UN Secretary General and his staff has remained blind to Kyiv's terrorist attacks and subversive activities. Any response from the UN on this?
Look, I'm not going to comment on the tone. I can tell you that, first of all, on the Memorandum of Understanding, which was addressed in the statement, that the Secretary General in the UN has scrupulously fulfilled its obligations under the Memorandum of Understanding. Through communications, the Russian Federation has told us they will no longer do that. But I think what's important to say is that with or without these 90 days or Memorandum of Understanding, the Secretary General will continue whatever he can do to ensure that the global markets have access to Ukrainian and Russian food as well as fertilizer. This is just too important for our fight against global hunger. And the Secretary General, Martin Griffiths, Rebecca Greenspan, and all of their teams and all of our teams are focused on doing just that. I think the food issue is just too important for the Secretary General not to continue.
Steph, given this statement, how would you describe the working relation now between the UN and Russian Federation? Obviously, you have to work with the Russian Federation.
I think the Secretary General continues to have and has always had a very constructive and positive working relationship with Ambassador Benzia and the whole team here in New York.
One last question, still on the grain deal. What's the current situation of JCC now?
I mean, they're continuing. The colleagues are there, available for consultations by.
You mean from four parties?
They're available. They continue to be there. They're available for consultations from any of the parties that are signatories to the agreement. But as you know, there are no more ships going through the corridor. Vladimir.
Hi, Stéphane. About that Russian Foreign Ministry statement, it also said that Secretary General broke some diplomatic rules by speaking openly about the content of that letter, that he sent to President Putin. Do you agree with that?
Look, I think the Secretary General was quoting from parts of the letter that were very factual in order to make sure that his point was clear. And these were just facts that he was quoting that many of them had been publicly available before that.
There was a statement also from Foreign Ministry of Russia that UN has 90 days to fulfill its part of the grain deal in order for Russia to return to it. Do you think it's possible in 90 days?
Look, as I said, with or without the 90 days, our commitment to the goals of the Black Sea Initiative, of the Memorandum of Understanding, are continuing unabated, right? We are continuing to do whatever we can. And we had, before before Monday, scrupulously fulfilled our obligations under the MOU. Alan, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I can, yeah. Now, Russian Ministry of Defense has said that Russia will consider all the ships moving to and from Ukrainian ports as, basically hostile targets. What's Secretary General reaction to that?
Well, I think it underscores that we're trying to work and continue to work in what is effectively a war zone. Alan and Frank.
I'm sorry, Stéphane. I have a short follow-up on Vladimir's question regarding this statement on the 90 days announced by Russian Foreign Ministry. If I'm not mistaken, yesterday you hinted that there is no longer the memorandum of understanding between UN and Russia, if I'm got it right in the right way. But as far as I understand, one of the sides should notify the other side in writing that the memorandum is ending. So it's still unclear for me which side notified whom about the end of the memorandum.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've seen the verbal comments come out of and the statements come out of the foreign ministry. You've seen what I've said. I have no doubt that if I were in your shoes, I would seek more clarity. What I can tell you is that, and I can only speak for the UN part, is that we will continue to do whatever we can to fulfill our obligations under the Memorandum of Understanding and under everything that was agreed as part of Istanbul, which is basically trying to get more food out to market. I think you need to ask other parties what their position is on this, but I can only speak to ours.
Sure.
And I would also encourage you to read the Memorandum of Understanding, and I think that may help bring some clarity.
I read the memorandum, and paragraph 6 says that the Russian Federation and the Secretariat will inform each other in writing 3 months in advance of the date on which they intend to stop applying the present memorandum.
I would also look at paragraph 1.
Okay, a short follow-up. So then, speaking about only the UN part, did you get or did you send the notification?
We have
In
not.
writing.
We have not initiated anything on our end, and what I can only tell you is that we will continue to do whatever we can to fulfill our obligations. Mr. Uchardo,
2 questions, just to follow up on that. If you're
your microphone a little closer, please.
if you're continuing to, quote unquote, fulfill your obligations under that memorandum of understanding, at this point, at this day and hour, are there any communications between UN officials and any members, any parties to this agreement that has just expired?
Well, we continue to be in.
Anybody talking?
We continue to have contacts with relevant parties, but
I mean, who are the parties?
The point. I mean, especially on the MOU, it is clear, and I've said this over and over again. Secretary General does not control banking regulations, does not control SWIFT, does not control the insurance market, does not control the private transportation market, does not control national banking regulations. So everything that so much that needs to be done in terms of implementation of the MOU is actually in the hands of others. And we rely on the goodwill of others. Our job is to continue to push and to knock on doors and to make our case. And that's exactly what Rebecca Greenspan had been doing, and that's exactly what she will continue to do.
The second question, Secretary General's response to the latest missile launches by North Korea?
I mean, I would reiterate our strong condemnation of these kinds of launches that only heighten tension on the Korean Peninsula and move us further away from the goal we'd like to see, which is the resumption of diplomatic talks and a complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Sir, you had a question, but I don't know your name. I'm sorry. Sina. Yeah. You got the answer. Excellent. As long as somebody else is doing the work. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat. I see none. I bid you all a good day and thank you for your patience. And I think I beat my all-time record of late starts to the noon briefing. So you were part of history today.